And we're live. Welcome back, everyone. Craig Stager here. It's been a little while since I streamed to my channels. It's been kind of a crazy couple of weeks. It's actually been a crazy month. Really, for the last 4 weeks have been pretty crazy. I'm supposed to be in trial today. Right now, I would probably be in the middle of jury selection, voir dire, as we call it. Um, if the case hasn't settled, I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Um, but yeah, I've been very busy. I was in Georgia in early January for depositions. And then the week after that, I was in Arizona for a lawyer conference and also just for a little time away with my wife. Brought my wife along and we met up with our oldest son who's in the military station in California. So we brought him over and spent few days together, toured the Grand Canyon, and then we came back and um, the whole house basically got sick. Actually, I'm still kind of coming down. I'm still kind of recovering from something, but we had a lot of sick kids, sick parents, missed school, missed work last week. And so it made it difficult for me to do much by way of recording. And then I started losing my voice right before a trial, of course. I was actually supposed to go to Ohio last week. I knew when I scheduled that deposition it was going to be a problem because I'd already scheduled to have this trial this week in Iowa. This trial was supposed to be in Dubuque, Iowa, and and I had sort of foolishly allowed myself to get scheduled for a deposition in Ohio the week before, but I was fairly confident this case was probably going to settle anyway, as they usually do. Um, and then we ended up having like an ice storm, and I kind of came down with something, so I ended up canceling my flight to Ohio, and I just did that deposition by Zoom. It was one of my experts, which is um, wasn't such a big deal. The other lawyers still went there in person. I was there by Zoom, which isn't the ideal circumstances, which is really the only reason I was going to go out there is I don't really care to have my witnesses, my experts sitting in a room with defense lawyers when I'm not there, but this one I wasn't too worried about and the witness did fine. But then basically last week I was preparing for this civil jury trial I have. It's a slip and fall. Nothing, you know, not any kind of catastrophic case, but it's a case where the two sides just couldn't reach an agreement on what's a fair value, and Iowa is a little unique, and I think maybe in Wisconsin the courts can do it. Iowa, they set a deadline for settlement, and if you like the idea being you're bringing people in from the community, we're bringing juror members in, and we don't want to waste their time and have them show up and then find out that the case settled. So they put a deadline, and they pose a penalty. I think it's $1,000 in Iowa if you settle after a certain date, which in this case was like so. This trial was scheduled to start on today, which is Tuesday, and the deadline was like last Thursday, so like 4 days beforehand. Um, and the case ended up resolving this weekend. I was in communication with the defense lawyer, got it worked out, got the penalty issue worked out, and so yeah. Um, it's one of those cases where it kind of made sense to settle, and like I said, they usually do. It just kind of I don't like it when they get drug out right until close to trial because as a lawyer, well, first of all, you spend a lot of time prepping for a case for a trial, and I had done a lot of work last week getting everything lined up, outlining my voir dire strategy, my jury selection strategy, outlining my opening statement, closing arguments, my witness statements, or my witness outline, kind of how I wanted to handle that. I had There was surveillance footage involved, so I was going through picking out the pieces of that I wanted to show to the jury. Um, you know, but and there's experts on the case who are going to be in person, and so they need to kind of refresh themselves. But you kind of want them to wait until you get as close to trial as possible, because they're just um, every hour they spend working in preparation for trial that doesn't happen is an hour's worth of money that your client isn't getting if the case does settle. So that is kind of the tension that trial lawyers have as you get closer to a jury trial. Is you want to be ready, you don't want to, and you need to make it clear to the other side that you're ready to try the case. I think this is where a lot of lawyers kind of make it clear. I think the insurance adjusters understand that this lawyer is never going to try this case. That ultimately they'll capitulate, they'll roll over, and that was more or less what they were expecting in this case. And we said no, and we weren't that far apart. And we said no, we're not going to take that. And I think the insurance company was banking on the fact that we were going to roll over, and we didn't. And we forced their hand, and eventually they came around. But you have to, as a lawyer, I think, to represent your client well, you have to be able to make it. You have to believe you'll go to trial. Your client has to believe that you'll go to trial. You have to trust yourself to go to trial. And maybe most importantly, the insurance company needs to know that you'll go to trial, because that's your leverage. They don't really want to go to trial. They don't like the expense of trial. They're not doing it on a contingency fee basis like the plaintiff's lawyers are. They're paying hourly, and so trial is expensive for them. And so but they have to believe that you'll go to try. You'll try the case. It doesn't matter, in my experience, so much what your results are. What is important is that you actually do try cases, and the insurance company knows that you'll try the case. And you tend to, and I think it gives you confidence in negotiating. It gives you confidence in negotiating and say, here's our line. This is as far as we'll go. And if you don't meet our demand, I don't care if it's by $5, we will see you in court. And that's the way I communicated that to the insurance company in this case, and ultimately they blinked first. But because of that, it's getting more and more difficult to get cases, to get trial experience, and to get refreshers on trials. My last jury trial was just over a year ago. It was a jury trial, but it was not a personal injury trial. It was a case involving a business dispute. But it's, with COVID, a lot of trials never happened. And so it's becoming more and more difficult for lawyers to get ongoing jury trial experience. And so I was actually looking forward to trying this case, because I thought we had a good case. I thought it was a really nice case to try, kind of clean, pretty simple and straightforward. And so I was a little disappointed not to try the case, not because of the financial amount of issue, but just because of the experience and opportunity to try a case. And I was going to try this with one of my partners, who does a lot of workers' comp, but not so much civil cases. And so he was going to get some useful experience, valuable experience in jury trials. So that's probably the biggest loss from the settlement is you don't get another chance to just try cases. And juries have changed. How juries approach civil cases, personal injury cases has changed, I believe, since I last tried my case a year ago, but certainly in the last 5 years since COVID. Juries have a very different perspective about money, insurance companies, corporations, things like that I believe is more favorable and beneficial to injured people. And so, yeah, so that's kind of what I've been working on. What it means is, because the case settled, I now have some free time this week, which is always nice. It's nice to be able to come in and say, well, I got a week that was that I don't have any appointments on because it was being saved for trial. But a little disappointing I didn't get to try the case. I haven't tried a case in Dubuque before. Um, cases all tend to settle before trial. my next jury trial, I think, is scheduled in Iowa for like August. That'll be a little bigger case, involves a truck accident. So, and then I think I have a jury trial scheduled for October, which is going to be a pretty complicated one. So, yeah, that's kind of the life of a trial lawyer, a civil trial lawyer. Incidentally, my wife is as jury duty this week, or at least for 3 days, in our county. I believe it's a criminal case. But I don't know. I don't talk to her about it, and we'll talk more. We'll be able to talk after the case is done. But very interested in to see what her experience has been as a juror. There's things that we as trial lawyers are always trying to understand is what makes jurors think, what all the different things, all the stuff that you want to know but you really can't have access to. So my wife is going to probably get tired of hearing me ask about, well, what about this thing the lawyer did? What do they do here? What do they do here? How do they use exhibits? I'm very curious to talk to her after the trial is done. So yeah, otherwise, yeah, I just wanted to step in, let you know where I've been. The videos and the live streams will be coming more regular from here on out. I'm actually building some additional channels that I'm excited to talk to you about here over the next couple of weeks or so. So I'll be unveiling those. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or go to the link tree or go to the description, which usually has a link tree. You can reach out to me that way. If you need to schedule an appointment with me, consultation, those details should be in the description below. Otherwise, appreciate everyone who was watching this. And until next time, everyone, have a good one.